Good evening. I'd like to call to order the March 20th, 24 meeting. Mayor Porco, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? May we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Bacon. Present. Mr. Bioki. Present. Mr. DeCosta. Present. Mr. Erbaldinger. Present. Mr. Lawrence. Present. Ms. Martin.
Present.
Mr. Watkins. Present. Mayor Porco. Present. Ms. Whiskey. Mr. Corbel. Present. Mr. Brett. And I'm present as well. And let me just say, let's go Dukes. Thank you.
Let's go Dukes.
Finally. I know, I just saw it.
The President's report. We will have an executive session following the meeting on legal and personnel issues. Mayor Porco, may we have your report?
Couple of items on my report for this evening. Next month, April 14th, we will be, Rotary actually will be hosting a chili positive and well-attended community. Because of the renovations going on at the Westinghouse Rec Center this year, actually cafeteria, going to be held on April 14th, which is a Sunday. Had an opportunity to meet with Chief Williams where we discussed several ongoing police matters. And then myself and several members of council also were local elected officials with state representatives. House, as well as talked a little bit about appropriations process and educated us a little bit about funding. And then lastly was attended a breakfast meeting for House Congressman Chris Deluzio. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Porco. Ms. Sawicki is not here. Chief Williams, may we have your report, please?
Thank you, President Martin. I'm going to just speak briefly about some traffic enforcement. We recently closed out one of our first aggressive driver buckle up programs for this year. So what that really does is that is money that's provided by the state to us to do traffic enforcement. And when I say that, I mean, we can use that traffic money in a lot of cases throughout the whole borough. And in this case, we used it primarily in Ardmore, Greensburg Pike, and we did do some of the residential streets for stop signs and just overall speeding. So just this one little portion of this money, we ended up with about 50 traffic citations. I think we made one arrest. And again, this is just money that's provided to us. It's dedicated officers out there on a traffic program to go out and make stops and make contacts with people. So when we do a really good job of producing and showing that, you know, we've been very proactive with our department out there doing that, we end up getting more funding. So I think we're going to be receiving additional funding throughout the year for additional programs now that we haven't had in the past. So again, you know, just by us being out there, being diligent about our traffic enforcement, again, it's a big deal. I know that we, you know, every community gets complaints about that. And I just want to make sure everybody realizes that we're pretty serious about it here. And, you know, our numbers stand as what they are. And the only reason we're getting more money from the state is because we're doing that. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Chief Williams. Mayor Porco, I believe you were going to report on the Forest Hills Community Alliance.
Thank you. Last month, come together, vision for the borough of Forest Hills. There's the idea behind that is that they're proposing, what a vibrant Forest Hills community would look like, and they've kind of broken up various subject matters. 5 months to be discussed. It's an opportunity for Forest Hills residents to come together, actually voice their thoughts in terms of what an ideal situation would be in terms of the community they want to live in, what they would like to see, for instance, the business district evolve into. Tonight, for instance, they are covering the topics of actual food and water. So, for instance, community gardens, where type of restaurants that are going in, what they'd like, our sustainability matters, et cetera, right? So that's kind of been an ongoing meeting. There will be another meeting next month. And eventually what will happen is that we will take all those findings and feedback from the community and present a final after they've discussed it with council. Scheduled in September at the newly renovated rec center, cat corner from this building here. Additionally, we met with the Forest Hills Community Alliance, met with representatives from Crossman Realty to discuss proposed projects at the Parkway Center properties, otherwise commonly known as those big white buildings along Ardmore Boulevard. So we discussed some proposed projects that they've envisioned for property. We had State Senator Jay Costa also attend that meeting, funding for those projects, et cetera. And lastly, progress is being made on our little stage that we're building over here behind the Westinghouse Rec Center. So the actual stage has been ordered, and we have taken care of an extension on our grant to make sure that we will have the appropriate funding extended for us. And they are claiming, and I don't know, LSSE, I think, stands behind us, that we'll have this thing up by June. We're going to say maybe July just to be safe. What do you think? Sounds good. All right. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Porco. Okay, the fire chief isn't here. Woodland Hills EMS is not. Mr. Corbel, may we have your report?
No public report this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Bras reports that there were 2 breaks for the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority report. Ms. Bras reports there were 2 breaks last month at 108 Sumner and 460 Geisler. Both have been repaired. Phase 2 of the lead line replacement project is income-based and will not include Forest Hills Borough. Mr. Bacon, do you have anything to report under Connect?
Yes, the Electrify Allegheny program via Connect will be doing their site visit here the 2nd week in April, and we should have further recommendations for proceeding with that at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Erbaldinger, do you have anything to report?
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Bioki?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, I'll be attending the ALUM Spring Conference in the first weekend of April.
Thank you. Mr. Watkins?
Madam President, I have a question regarding the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water. Do we know if there are lead pipes in?
I don't know.
With your permission, I'll contact Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water and see if.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Okay, then we're going to move on to the public comment. This would be about agenda items and non-agenda. At this time, Citizens may address council on any issue, whether appearing on today's agenda or not. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before council, who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Citizens are asked to use the microphone at the speaker's stand, clearly state their name and address for the record, and keep comments brief and to the point. And please spell your name for the record. Speakers are reminded that council uses these comment periods as opportunities to gather information and not to respond directly to concerns raised. Information gathered will not be discussed at the business meeting, but instead will be referred by the council president to the appropriate committee for review and discussion at the next committee meeting. Mr. McGann, I know you're stepping right up.
Good here.
Yes, thank you.
My name is Brian McGann, MAGAN. I live at 14 Niagara Road. And I'm here just primarily to ask about the deer issue. There was one meeting I was at, I don't think there was any other meetings, 6 months ago. And just wondering, I understand that there's an application process underway. And I just wanted to know what the details of that were. And I'm wondering if that USDA program has any kind of documentation that you can look at to see what's actually required, how it works, what you need to have in order to qualify. And I guess primarily that's it. I wanted to know if there, I know that we talked in that first meeting about different things that needed to take place, and I'm not sure if anything, they kept statistics on accidents, deer accidents, any kind of car damage, whatever. I think that would probably be. But I'd like to know more about what qualifies to get into that program. That's mainly it. Also, not specifically related to the deer issue, I was surprised to see, I thought that the Tree City Times was going to discontinue production, and it was just going to be, I thought it was going to be an email sent out, email form. But when I read the little blurb in the last paper, people can still get a printed copy if they request it, but it's not going to be emailed out. It's only going to be on the borough website in order for people to look at. And I'm wondering a reasonable expectation. That's it for me.
We'll be in touch. Thank you. Did you care to speak, sir?
Hi, my name is Doug Blair. I'm at 275 Cascade Road. I was here last month to share my concerns about the borough's management of its shared forest, and I had a carefully calibrated 5-minute red-blooded rant here, but let me simplify it. An acquaintance is an arborist, and I had him come and look, and he said the oaks here, I could tell you just looking at the moss and fungus on them, they are under some pretty serious stress. More importantly, probably they're way overdue for trimming. The canopy grows, shades everything beneath it. All the shaded portions of the tree die, and that's why it's raining twigs and branches and whole limbs on pedestrians, residents, yards, homes, and vehicles on Cascade. I realize this is a borough-wide problem, which should, I think, increase the urgency rather than reduce it. It's called out in the 2019 plan. We need an arborist. We desperately need an arborist. The thing that brought this to my attention is the fact that a whole limb fell off the borough tree in my yard, ripped my electrical service off the side of my house, and did damage to the house. That limb, if it had landed on a person, we'd be talking about fatalities here. It's a bad situation. I'm at risk of going into my rant, and I don't want to do that. it's a very serious situation and I would really appreciate seeing more urgency. I've reached out to some folks and not heard back, and that's been a bit of a disappointment. I'm hopeful of seeing more progress in the next month. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Morris, will you have, Dawn, will you notify Dawn about this, please? Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we're going to move on to the committee reports. Mr. Lawrence, please, Ops and Policy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve the minutes from the February 21, 2024 council meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 I move to authorize the solicitor to advertise an ordinance updating Chapter 1, Part 2A, Borough Manager of the Borough's Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bacon?
Yes.
Cookie?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Yes.
Watkins?
Yes.
President?
Yes.
I move to appoint Seth Abrams as Borough Manager and Borough Secretary effective May 6th, 2024.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Aoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
I move to approve a memorandum of employment between Seth Abrams and the Borough with an effective date of May 6, 2024.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon?
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
I move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance to amend the ordinance regarding the keeping of chickens to require a new permit upon the sale of property upon which the chickens are kept.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bacon?
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
This is exciting. I got a whole 2 pages here. I move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance to amend Chapter 5, Part 2, Property Maintenance Code of the Borough Code of Ordinances to amend the provisions of the rental property inspection permit to address short-term rental properties.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon?
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
I move to accept the proposal of Campbell Durant to provide legal services to the borough on all pension issues.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon?
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
You can read the general report from operations and policies. That concludes my report for the evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Let's move on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Erbaldinger?
Thank you, President Martin. Motion to approve the bills for the month of February in the following amounts. General fund budget, $218,518. Corrective action budget, $32,810. Fire protection fee, $12,834. Road improvement, $312. Capital improvement plan, $13,783. Hayride, $116.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon?
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta?
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
My next motion, move to approve payment of the February bill to Siemens for $107,449 from the ESCO fund under the contract between the borough and Siemens.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbldinger.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
On my general report, I would like to point out, we had two residents last month suggesting we should move our sewage billing to Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. And we did that, I think, within a few days. Unfortunately, we have not received any proposal back from them, so that's still pending. We're still looking into it. But in my mind, that's actually a bad sign if I'm not sure if they're very keen on getting our business, if they haven't responded so far. And that's it. Thank you, President Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Erbldinger. Let's move to Borough Property. Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to rescind a previous motion to enter into an agreement with James D. Anderson for pool caulking services.
Second.
Are there any comments?
I think I missed that at the committee meeting because of technical issues. May I ask for the reason for that?
Yes, so the James D. Anderson sort of rescinded their offer to basically take part. And Mr. Reamer is once again soliciting bids that are likely to be higher than the original sort of ceiling was. But it needs to be done, so he is expediting that now.
Thank you.
Comments? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to rescind the motion approving a climbing wall for the Forest Hills Pool.
Second.
Any comments?
Yes. I will vote against this because I feel like the kids Forest Hills would have really liked the climbing wall. And I wish we would have taken more time to investigate if there's any alternative with the insurance. I realize the reason we're doing that is because of insurance, but I wish we would have more time to investigate that further.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, when we first start discussing this, my question was about insurance. I was told that unless we had a claim, there really wouldn't be any issues with the insurance. Is there new information? Because I was not able to attend the committee meetings. Is there a major issue with, granting a new insurance policy if we add these to the pool?
And someone involved with I believe we are renegotiated the update to the contract with insurance. Is someone able to speak to that? Mr. Watkins?
I believe in one of the previous meetings, we discovered that the insurance company advised us against putting in the climbing wall, and that there would be a significant rate hike if we were to put in this climbing wall.
Do we know what the significant rate hike would be?
$5,000 to $10,000
A year?
a year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki.
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
No.
Mr. Erbldinger,
No.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to approve the award of contract number 23 MB7 Electrical for Forest Hills Westinghouse Lodge exterior renovations to Merit Electrical Group for $19,930.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
For the general report, I'd ask if Mr. Brett has any updates on the just timing of the Westinghouse Lodge renovations, whether anything has changed since the previous committee meetings. Thank you. The rest of the general report may be read in the agenda. However, I would like to point out on number 4, looking into an accessible swing to the playground at Ryan Glen Park. I think we're looking to do preferably more than that as a more even initiative throughout the borough. I would encourage any citizens who have particular thoughts on adaptive or inclusive playground equipment to consider sending in a comment to council or attending the April 2nd committee meetings where we will be discussing that further under borough property. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam
Mr. Bacon.
Madam President, may I ask a question since we're on the subject of Ryan Glen Park?
No. We have to continue with the business meeting. Thank you. Mr. DeCosta, planning and zoning, please.
Yes, so my first motion is to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance to revise the regulations regarding the placement of fences and walls on corner lots.
Is there a second?
Second. And we have the voice.
Any comments?
Mhm. Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. I'm supposed to do that.
Move to approve resolution number 1268 to invoke the pending ordinance doctrine and to resolve that a future meeting Borough Council will consider an amendment to chapter 27 of the Borough Code of Ordinances zoning to revise the regulations regarding the placement of fences and walls on corner lots.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erblinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance to update the borough's short-term rental, AKA Airbnb regulations.
Is there a second? Any comments? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. DeCosta. Let's move to Public Works. Mr. Watkins.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance modifying the sewer fee currently at $4.75 per 1,000 gallons.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Before we do go on, council will have to contact and inform the solicitor on the final amount if we note that that final amount is not in this ordinance.
Madam President, we discussed this. Do we want to establish that fee now?
Yes.
I believe it was in our committee, we discussed that that would be $7.60 per 1,000 gallons.
Yes,
$7.60
Yes.
correct.
per 1,000 gallons.
Do that, Mr. Watkins would have to amend the motion. But we'll give it to Mr. Lawrence. You'll have to agree to the amendment.
I agree to amend the motion.
And I second.
With $7.60 for the record. Yeah.
Are there any other comments?
So was the 475 in addition to what people are already being charged for a total of 760? Is that where does this 475 come from?
That's what it is currently.
That's the current rate per 1,000 gallons.
So modifying the 475 that we have to 760.
It will be increased to $7.60 per 1,000
Can I
gallons.
make,
I wasn't following that.
I just want to point out, as far as I know, we haven't raised the fee for 10+ years. So in hindsight, it would be probably better off if we would have done little increases over the 10 years, but that's why we definitely need that.
Anyone else?
For those who are new to the borough, I think it's important to also mention that Forest Hills is an older community, like a lot of communities in Allegheny County. And our sewer systems are in desperate need of repair. So this raise was well overdue.
Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta, Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
In the general report, we have an opportunity for the engineer to address any issues that he would like to bring public, if there are any.
Nothing additional from what we discussed in the committee.
Sure. That concludes everything for Public Works. Any other information is within the agenda. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Let's move to public safety. Mr. Bioki?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve a new parking pattern on Pacific Avenue. This was discussed in committee, and although your agenda says on a trial basis, this would be a permanent change.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance to regulate the parking of motor vehicles on borough sidewalks.
Second.
Second.
Any comments? Could we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. The rest of my report is included in your agenda, and that concludes the public safety.
Is there any new business?
That's my question about Ryan Glen Park now.
That new business?
I'm just wondering if anybody knows what's going on with the fences at the park. Not the playground fences, but the split rail fences. They seem to be a mess. They're gone. They haven't been repaired. So I'm just wondering if anyone has status on that or if we have to ask Public Works.
May I? Generally, when I find things like that, I put a work order, I put quote, a work order into Mr. Morris to ask, so that he can send that over to Public Works.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting by acclaim without objection. The next scheduled council meeting is April 17th, 2024. The next scheduled committee of the whole meetings will be Tuesday, April 2nd, and Tuesday, April 9th. Thank you.